Howdy folks, Greyhawk404 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer. And it is time to do the catch-up on the AD&D campaign back here. But before we do that, I'm going to do what every other YouTuber has done through the history of YouTube that I failed to do because I think I need to do it. Please click subscribe, and click like, and leave a comment, and do all those, click the bell, do all those wonderful things, because supposedly it really does help. And I guess I need to do that because nothing else seems to be working as far as me getting views and growing the channel. So I'm going to give that a shot. And I'm going to say that at the beginning of every video. Your support is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. Also, I'm going to put a link down below. I launched my first t-shirt through Bonfire, and I'll put a link for it down there if you guys want to go check out that design and see if you like it, etc. Any support is appreciated. Thank you. So, now, the AD&D campaign. So where we left off last time, our heroes had just taken care of the shade business. If you want to get caught up, please go back and check the last video about the campaign update to get yourself up to speed. So they dealt with that in a most efficient manner. They did it with no bloodshed. They did it, well, I mean, there was some bloodshed, involved, but not necessarily right at the keep. They managed to use diplomacy and a little bit of tact and the whole bit, and they got their reward, their big fat reward of 20,000 gold pieces, and everything was copacetic. So then they decided, okay, what's our next move? Do they want to go to the Temple of Elemental Evil and continue there? Do they want to partake in some kind of new quest or adventure? But the first thing they wanted to do was they wanted to go to the city of Devers, which is kind of their home city, and because some of them needed to level up, and actually quite a few of them needed to level up. And in my campaign, I require that they seek out someone to give them training to the next level of proficiency. To me, that just seems logical. I just don't think that you're out and about and all of a sudden, there's some magic thing that happens and bing, all of a sudden new spells and all this. No, I think it's more logical that you need to go seek training. And that's what you have to do in my campaign. So they decide, we're going to do that. However, our two most mischievous party members, the gnome illusionist assassin and the half-orc magic user thief, decide that the reward was not quite enough. They want to go back to the king at the capital, Chendal, and ask for a knighthood. So they go that direction. And the other party members decide to go to Devers to do their business. So now I've got a split party that I'm dealing with. Both are doing travel, so I'm having to roll for encounters and so forth. And the two, let's just say the thief types, they make it to the king, and they are granted an audience because they were with this group that helped liberate this keep and put things back on the right track. So they're granted an audience, and they basically, with almost no diplomacy, almost no tact, pretty much ask for a knighthood. And the king says, no, you guys signed on to do a job for that baron, and my understanding is that she paid you handsomely to the full amount, so you're effectively in that capacity, you guys are mercenaries, and you did your job and you got paid. But now you want a knighthood, as if you did something altruistic, just out of the goodness of your heart, which is not the case. But they were persistent. So the king compromises and tells the captain of the guard, hey, you know what? Get some insignias made, some kind of like pin or something that they can put on their cloaks. That, something unique that basically is something they can say, oh yeah, that's for us, liberating the, up there, outside of Fountain Spring, that keep out there, and getting it back to the rightful owners and so forth. And they, a little bragging thing or whatever. And so And they're happy with that. The player characters, they're happy with that. They're like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. So they fashion a full set of them for the whole party, even though there's just the two of them there. And they're like, okay, thanks. And they decide to head off for Devers now. Now, in the meantime, the other group is already heading that direction. And there's some, random encounters and so forth they do, but they make it there to Devers. And then they have to go through the process of, one of them had to go to the Fighters Guild for training, and then, once the other ones get back to town, there's 4 of them that have to go to the Mage Tower to be trained. And it's about 3 days it takes for training. And another one, the Druid Ranger, went to the Druid Grove for training because he leveled up his Druid, not his Ranger. And so that's all taking place. And at the end of that, they get a note. They get told by the Oak, the famous barkeep of the Bloody Scabbard in Devers, that, hey, when you guys are all back together, Dorian Lightfoot wants to talk to you. Now, Dorian, for those of you that may not have been following along, Dorian is my player. It was the character I played starting 30 years ago. A thief acrobat. I managed to get him up to a high level. And in my campaign, he's an NPC now, and he's the head of the Thieves Guild. But he's a very powerful character in the city of Devers and the whole realm area surrounding. He's got connections everywhere, etc. And he has been very instrumental in our party's development to this point. But nevertheless, he's asked for an audience. They have, matter of fact, in the tavern, they actually have a room set aside for Dorian, and anytime that he needs to conduct business in private. And so, of course, they all decide to go up there, and they meet. Dorian goes up there and meets with them, and basically says, hey guys, I told you guys a while back about my wife, Marissa, that had been abducted, we hope abducted and not killed, in the giant raids down to the earth, basically to the southeast of Devers, way down, in the hills and so forth. There was giant raids going on, and she was last seen by witnesses being taken by the giants, being taken captive, and that he's told them this all before, but they were never. Our party never felt quite strong enough to take on that challenge. But he is now basically saying, hey, I'm asking you, I need you guys to drop everything you're doing. I need you guys to get on this, because every day that goes by, I'm more worried that she's going to be killed or whatever, and it's been a long time already. So he's just, hoping by somehow that she's still alive or whatever. And this is basically my way, the plot hook for me to get them into the Giant series, the classic Giant series. And so with this new established urgency, level of urgency that's being bestowed upon them, they decide to take it and say, yeah, we'll drop everything we're doing, we'll go straight there, So, oh, and by the way, just because I have a visual aid here, so the pins that I had made for the party with the little, it has a keep on it, and I think I had some type of a large predator bird and a stag on both sides of the keep. That's the design. I told him it looks something like the Hand of the King out of Game of Thrones. This came out of my collector's edition Game of Thrones Blu-ray set or whatever. So I basically said this as a model. That's kind of what it looks like with the difference. So there's a visual aid for you there. So they decide to take it up, and then they start, ordering, trying to get some magic items made, because they know they're going to need everything they can to go after the giants. And so it was a lot of city stuff, with them getting magic items, trying to get them made, trying to get some armor made, trying to get, you name it, they're trying to get it done. And prepping, and then, of course, learning new spells and all that as part of their training and so forth. And then they take off. So, and they traveled quite a bit, and the one notable random encounter they had was I rolled up, and this is completely random in first edition. I rolled up a dragon encounter, and it was and then you roll again to see what type of dragon, again random, and it was a copper dragon. Copper dragons are chaotic good, so they're good dragons, and the gnome in the party knew that, and instead of panicking, beckoned for the dragon, to meet him and so forth, and start speaking, because most dragons, especially if they're older dragons, they can speak. And the dragon was willing to converse and so forth. And our one magic user, that's a pure magic user, I think, he even did monster summoning 1 and summoned a group of giant rats for the dragon to have as a snack, which the dragon consumed. And the dragon says, well, now I'm less likely to eat your horses, that type of thing. But one of the things that was kind of cool was our newest, and the one that did that conjuring, that's our drow elf player character. He's the one they found in the Temple of Elemental Evil and rescued him, and he's now in the party. But he's disguised because the magic user thief in the party did a cantrip to change the color of his face and of his skin and everything, because he was worried that the rest of the party would shun him and so forth. And so he's been basically in disguise this whole time, and saying that he was a high elf or a wood elf or something like that. And so one of the things I did was with the dragon was, the dragon says, thank you for the wonderful snack. I'm less likely to eat your horses now. And then he kind of leans into the character of the drow elf and said, now you smell differently. And the dragon leaves it at that. He doesn't blow his cover or whatever, because the dragon would be, just from smell alone, could probably tell that that's a drow elf, because it's a rare being, above ground and so forth. But what that did was it made that player character, of course, nervous. The player that actually plays that character, nervous that, oh crap, he might spill the beans, and and so forth. And it caused some role play between the character that cast the cantrip on him and himself, as far as what they're going to do, if they're going to announce it to the party, etc., etc. So we'll wait and see how that pans out. But so there's that little dynamic going on with that unknown quantity there. So and then we kind of stopped it right there, because that was the most of the night. And so the next session will be them traveling to the giants. They'll probably get there, and then they may even be able to have some encounters at the keep, perhaps, or whatever. And I mean, we'll see how it goes. You never know. They may throw me a curveball and decide to go somewhere else, or there may be a random encounter that throws them off. Who knows? But that's kind of the plan. We'll see how it goes. So anyway, that's the catch-up on, and most of them are 7th level now. It's right around 7th level, so they're just about right to start down the giant series. The last thing I wanted to show you guys was I just picked this up, just like probably everybody else did. This is the Wild Beyond Witchlight. That's the new 5th edition book, and I always get the special edition covers, or the ones that you can only get at the brick and mortar stores. And I figured, because once I started, I'm like, well, you guys know me, I'm a completionist. It's like I want to have a full set of all the special covers. And what this is, in short, is, if you don't already know, it is a source book for basically the fairy realm, the Fae realm in 5th edition. It's like all about where the Fae and fairies and all that stuff, where they live and their whole home world, etc., and everything you need to do a campaign, I guess, around that. But the artwork is beautiful. I mean, the only thing I didn't like about it is the back cover is broken out of the binding. Because, see, it just falls open like that, because the glue for this last page stuck to this map right here, And in order to once you separate that, carefully separate to try and get that page separated, it actually separated from the binding. So that back panel is losing, which, I mean, it's not hurting it, but it's absolutely not a perfect copy now, because that binding is busted right there. So it's not a big deal, but if I was to ever go and sell the whole set, that's something I would have to disclose and show pictures and say that this rare cover here is broken away from the binding because of XYZ. So as a collector, you have to do those things if you're ethical. So anyway, that's it for this one, guys. You're all caught up, and until tomorrow, we will catch you on the flip side.